Football tactics are not always about formations, pressing, or clever passing patterns. These are 5 sneaky tactics this season, and they get increasingly worse. 5. Arsenal's corners. Arsenal's corner routine is the least ugly tactic on this list, but it might be the most copied. This season, Arsenal had turned corners into a full attacking system. Eberechi Ehzeh's goal against Newcastle took them to 17 Premier League goals from corner situations in 2025-26, breaking the single-season record. The Newcastle goal was the clean version. Arsenal had already taken 2 short corners. The crowd wanted the ball whipped into the box. Instead, they stayed patient. On the next one, Newcastle stepped out, Kai Havertz touched it back, and Ehzeh appeared at the edge of the area. 1 strike later, a corner had created a shooting lane outside the crowd, but the darker version happens inside the 6-yard box. That is where corners now look less like football and more like a controlled brawl. Bodies lean, arms lock, players block paths without making it too obvious. The goalkeeper wants to step forward, but every route is packed. The defender wants to follow Gabriel, Saliba, Timber or Marino, but first he has to wrestle through traffic. That is the trick. Arsenal are not always crossing to the biggest player, they are crossing into a fight they have already started. And the league has noticed. Brighton's Fabian Huertler even brought in an MMA fighter to help with set pieces blocking and 1v1 body duels, saying Premier League set pieces have new trends and that Brighton cannot just be known as a nice team. As for a rule change, there is no confirmed crackdown yet on corner grappling or blocking. IFAB has been pushed to look at the growing set-piece chaos, but reports in March said football's lawmakers were not moving to rewrite those rules immediately. So for now, it stays legal. But when the goalkeeper is trapped before the ball arrives, it definitely feels sneaky. 4. Bodo Glimt's synthetic pitch. This one is not dirty, it is legal, but it is absolutely part of the trap. Bodo Glimt play at Asmira Stadion above the Arctic Circle on a synthetic pitch. And in their Champions League run, that surface became part of the story because the ball did not always behave like visitors expected. Manchester City felt it first. In January, Bodo beat them 3-1 for their first ever Champions League win. Kasper Ho scored 2 close-range goals in the 22nd and 24th minutes, and City looked half a step late around their own box. Pundits even noted City could point to the climate, absentees or artificial surface, but they were still outplayed. Then came Atletico Madrid. Bodo Glimt came from behind to beat them 2-1 and forced their way toward the knockout playoffs. Then Inter arrived in February and lost 3-1 too, with reports saying they struggled on the artificial pitch at Asmira. The Sporting Lisbon game made it even clearer. Bodo Glimt won 3-0 at home in the last 16 first leg. On the second goal, Ole Didrik Blomberg reacted first to a ball that broke through the box. On the third, Jens Petter Hauge drove a low ball across the area and Hurt attacked it before the defenders could reset. That is the surface advantage. Move the ball so fast that only your team can play. So yes, Arsenal's corners last a few seconds, Bodo Glimt's synthetic pitch lasts the whole match.
Football's more than a game. It's passion, pride, glory. This World Cup season, Goal90 brings you our biggest offer yet. Buy 3 jerseys and get 1 free. That's 4 jerseys for the price of 3. And yes, free worldwide shipping. This is a limited time World Cup special, only until the 10th of May. So move fast. Pick your jerseys. Wear your passion. Own the moment before they're gone. Visit Goal90 shop. Link in the description.
3. PSG's throw-in traps. PSG's tactic looks stupid until you notice the pattern. Last season, they kept doing something strange from kickoff. Instead of keeping the ball and building from the center circle, they would launch it long toward the opponent's back line and let it go out for a throw-in. At first, it looked like free possession, but PSG were not giving away the ball. They were choosing the battlefield. A throw-in deep in your own half is not like a normal pass. The player cannot switch play quickly. He cannot move the ball over distance with his feet. His angles are tight. His body is usually facing the touchline. And while he waits, PSG's press is already moving. That is why the trap works. The opponent technically has possession, but it is the worst kind of possession. The touchline blocks one side, PSG block the inside. The nearest receiver has pressure on his back before the ball even arrives. This season, PSG made the idea even nastier against Bayern. Instead of only using it from kickoff, Matvei Safonov repeatedly aimed goal kicks toward Bayern's right side near Michael Olise. Reports after PSG's 1-1 draw with Bayern on May 6th 2026 said the pattern forced Bayern into throw-ins on Oliseh's side, allowing PSG to overload that flank and crowd him before he could turn forward. PSG advanced 6-5 on aggregate. That is the modification. Last season the trap was about location. This season it became about the player. Oliseh is dangerous when he receives facing goal. PSG made him receive near the line with bodies around him, often forced back toward his own half. Instead of letting him attack space, they turned him into the restart problem. So yes, it looked like PSG were kicking the ball out for no reason. But the reason was brutal. They were not avoiding football, they were dragging Bayern into the ugliest version of it. 2. Sunderland's advertising boards trick. Besides their corners, Arsenal had also become known for another awkward set-piece threat this season: long throws. Declan Rice was one of the players taking them, and the idea was simple. Launch the ball into the box, create first contact, then attack the second ball while everyone is still fighting for position. It was not always pretty, but it added one more problem for opponents already worried about Arsenal's corners, free kicks and back post traffic. So when Arsenal went to Sunderland in November 2025, the Stadium of Light suddenly had a strange little detail. The advertising boards looked closer to the touchline. That mattered because a long throw is not just about arm strength, it needs a runway. The thrower wants a few steps, a clean rhythm, balance and enough room to generate power. Move the boards closer and the throw still exists, but the routine becomes cramped. That is why this felt so sneaky. Sunderland did not foul anyone, they did not block the thrower, they did not change the rules, they changed the space around the restart. Reports said the boards were moved closer to make it harder for Arsenal to launch long throws, and Sunderland manager Régis Le Bris later said they tried to find the details to win the game. That is the perfect dark arts answer, not a full confession, not a denial that kills the story, just enough to tell you Sunderland knew exactly what kind of battle they were in. They did not stop Arsenal's long throws with a defender, they tried to stop them before the thrower could even move. 1. Atletico Madrid's grass, and this is the dirtiest one because it did not need a foul, a tackle or even an illegal pitch, it was just grass. At the Metropolitano, teams did not only have to face Simeone's players, they had to deal with a pitch that seemed to make clean football harder. During the April 2026 Champions League quarter-finals, Barcelona officials and coach Hansi Flick accused Atletico Madrid of manipulating the pitch conditions at the Metropolitano Stadium to gain a tactical advantage. While UEFA ultimately ruled that no regulations were broken, the controversy centered on two specific grass tactics. 1. Grass length and dryness. Barcelona complained that Atletico deliberately left the grass long and dry to slow down the ball's movement. Flick argued that this hindered Barcelona's signature quick passing game, favouring a more physical defensive style. Following a formal complaint, UEFA inspected the pitch and found the grass height was 26mm, which is within the allowed maximum of 30mm. Forced adjustments. Despite the legality, UEFA ordered Atletico to ensure the pitch was watered 60 minutes before kickoff and during halftime to maintain professional standards. 2. The slippery pitch theory. Opposition teams, including Barcelona and earlier Tottenham, noted a high frequency of players slipping on the Metropolitano turf. Tottenham felt it badly. Kinski slipped while trying to play out before Marcos Llorente scored. Then Van de Ven lost his footing before Griezmann made it 2-0. Critics suggested Atletico players were better prepared for the greasy or uneven surface, knowing exactly which studs to wear, while opponents struggled to keep their footing during crucial plays. After eliminating Barcelona, Atletico's social media team posted a photo of freshly cut grass with a sarcastic caption, essentially mocking Flick's complaints. This is a recurring conflict between the two clubs. Barcelona famously made similar complaints about the grass at Atletico's former stadium, the Vicente Calderón, during their 2016 Champions League meeting. So next time something looks accidental, ugly or petty, look closer, it might be the tactic. Like this video, subscribe for more football stories and watch the next one. See you there.